welcome back, guys. In this lecture, we're going to look at positioning in CSS. Okay, so CSS position. There are 5 kinds of position we can look at in CSS. The first is static, and static is actually the default CSS position. Okay, but then I'm thinking before I continue the lecture, maybe perhaps I should take away these styles here and put in our CSS file. Okay, so let's just do that quickly. And remember, to do that, what we just need to do is to add a link tag and say style, so style.css, then save. So if I take away all the CSS code I have here, and I'm going to just cut it, Ctrl X, and paste it in the style.css file, save. When I refresh the page, nothing changes because the CSS file is linked to index.html. So we have some space here for our project. Okay, I'm going to remove this hello world section so we can have a clean page. Okay, all right, so positioning in CSS. First off, I am going to add a div. So I'll just say div, and within this div I'm going to add a paragraph, and I'm going to say hello world. This time I'm going to add 3 exclamation marks just to make it different. I refresh the page, and as you can see, we have hello world div. Okay, now basically CSS positioning, like I said, the first is the static position. Okay, so static, okay, that's the word. So basically what I should do is I should just cut this guy, X, and within our div I'm going to give my div a class of position. Okay, and then I'll save. So basically what I'm going to do now is I'll come here in my styles, and let me hit enter and come here, and then I'll say dot position, then I would say position, okay, and I'll say static, save. So basically what I just did now is I wrote a CSS declaration for this div with the class of position. Okay, and remember, your class can actually be anything you want, or it doesn't have to be in fact I can change it now and say PPP. Okay, so it can actually be anything you want, but generally you want your class to describe what that section is about. Okay, that's why I named it position, but this is just to show you that you can make your class whatever you decide. Now I'll refresh the page and nothing happens. That is because static position is actually the default position. It simply means the element is where you place it within your HTML file. Now the next position is relative, and then save. So I've saved it, and if I refresh the page, nothing happens. That is because we've not added an instruction following this positioning we give. Now this relative position simply means that we can add a kind of margin either from the left, the right, or the top of the, what's it called, the element. So if I say I want this particular element with a class of PPP to have, so let me just say left first, 100 pixels from the left. So what will happen when I save this and refresh the page is that this hello world will be pushed 100 pixels from the left. So I'm going to refresh the page, boom, so 100 pixels from the left. Now what I'm going to do basically is for this PPP, I'm just going to add a border, BORD, and I'll say I want it to be 2 pixels, and I want it to be solid, and then I want the color to be green. Okay, and then I'll save. If I refresh the page, we can see the border around the, what's it called, element. So I can also say that I want there to be a 100 pixel space between, you know, from the top of this element. So I'll just say top 100 pixels. Yes. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the width for this div. I'll say width. I'll give it a width of 50%. And then I'll save. So let me refresh the page first. By the time I refresh the page, you see that it's 100 pixels from the top, 100 pixels from the left. Okay, so basically that's what the relative positioning actually is. Okay, so if I delete both of these and I say from the right, so let me save and refresh, so it goes back to the normal position. If I say I want from the right, I want 100 pixels from the right, so what am I doing? 100 pixels from the right. X. Now save and I refresh. Boom. So it pushes it 100 pixels. So it adds like 100 pixels from the right and pushes it in. In fact, I can make it disappear from the page. So basically, I'm just going to say 500 pixels. So 5, and I'll save and I'll refresh. Boom. It's out of the page. Now, so supposing I wanted to add an animation that, you know, these elements will just slide in from wherever it is hidden, I can add that animation and then it will slide in like that. Okay, so basically that's about relative positioning. So I'm just going to delete this. So relative positioning, getting rid of this, and I'll save. So boom, we have our elements back on the page. Now the next kind of positioning we're going to look at is position with a value of fixed, and then I'll save. So position with a value of fixed. Now for us to really appreciate this kind of positioning, I'm going to get some dummy text. So I'll just say lorem ipsum. So this is just dummy text, and just click on it and I'll grab some text here. So copy. I would come here and create another paragraph tag. So I'll say p tag and I'll paste it a couple of times to have a long page. Then I'll save. So let's scroll back up. If I refresh, if I open this page, you see that I have this long text. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I am going to delete this and I'm going to save, and I'm also going to make this 100%. So let's just say and save and refresh the page. So we have it like full on the page, okay, occupying the width of the page. Now what I'm going to do next is I want this header to, you know, stay stuck to the page even while I scroll. Okay, now to do that, I'm going to come to this div where we have our menu and the class is nav. So let's go and add a class of nav. We already have a class of nav anyway, it's on our style.css. okay. So I'm just going to have to go to the style.css and grab this class. So I'll Control X and bring it back here. I'll just say Control V. Okay, so this is our nav class. Just going to indent this. All right, so this is our nav class. Now what I'm going to do for our nav class is I'm going to add a position of fixed. Okay, and then I'll save. Okay, now I'll refresh the page so we can see what happens. Now if I scroll down, watch what happens when I scroll down. You see that? Okay, now do you see that as I scroll down, the header is actually stuck? So this is the idea behind, you know, having a sticky header on your page. Okay, all right. So that's it. All right, as regards our fixed positioning, there's something I want to show you very briefly. Okay, and basically I would like to first of all restructure this page. So I'm just going to close the tag here, or basically I'm going to delete a large part of the text here, and I'm just going to create new paragraphs. See, so we can start from different lines. So first off, I'll add a break tag, create another paragraph, and I'll add another break tag, then I'll create the last paragraph and save, and then I'll refresh the page. So we have our page broken up into different paragraphs. I'm just going to do that a couple of more times. So see, so, like so, like so. So we have a long page. All right, so this is a long page. All right, that's fine. Now basically what I want to show you is I want to show you I want to use CSS, or basically HTML really, and CSS to create a back to top feature, okay, such that when you click on like a button, it takes you back to the top of the page. So let's use fixed positioning to do this. So first off, I'm going to create a div, and within that div I'll create a link. So I'll say a tag and create a link. And for now, I'll just create an empty link or a dead link. It doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't do anything. And then I'll say top. Okay. Or I'm just going to say top in capital letter, and then I'll save. Of course, if I refresh the page, it's not going to be visible. That is because our link is white. Remember, and the background of the page is white. So no problems. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to give this div a class, an ID identifier, because it's unique to this page, of top. Okay, and then I would write some styles for it. So for this top, I would say hash top, and I'm going to give it a background color of red. Then I'll save, and then I'll then give it a position of fixed. But this time I want it to be fixed from the bottom. In other words, from the bottom of the page, I want it to be 10 pixels, so 10 px, and then I'll save. Now, if I refresh the page, boom, so we have a top, red button here. It doesn't do anything, like I said. So what I'm going to do next is I want it to be on the right here. So I'm going to say something like right. So from the right of the page, I want there to be also 10 px, so 10 px, and then I'll save. And as you can see, it's right here on this end of the page. Okay, next I'm going to create another div just below this top div. So it's going to be below this top div, but it will be above the div with the class of PPP. That is this div right here. So I'll create another div, just a div, and it's going to have a class of, so this is an MS shortcut. It's going to have a class of back to top. Then if I press the tab, boom, so you just learned an MS shortcut. So it's a div with an ID of back to top. It's an empty div. I'm going to save the div, and I'll go back to our link, and this time I'll just add this back to top. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it here, and then I'm going to save. Now what happens is that when you click on this link, which is this guy here, it will jump to the top of the page. Okay, so what I'm going to do is this hello world, I'm just going to make this hello world red. So I'm just going to say style. Okay, remember that we don't use, it's not good practice to use inline styles in your web page. It's not a good practice at all, but this is just for tutorial purposes. Okay, so I'm going to say color of red, and then I'm going to save. So if I scroll up and refresh the page, you see that the hello world is red. I just want you to know that it has gotten to the top of the page, right? So let me make this a little bit smaller and I'll refresh the page. Now when I click on this top, it goes back to the top of the page. So I'm just gonna boom, so we're at the top of the page. Okay, and basically it's jumping to this div. Where's our empty div? It's jumping to this empty div with an ID of back to top. Now supposing I took this empty div, Control C, Control X rather, and I put it somewhere after this place, and Control V and save. I'm going to refresh the page. So I've just refreshed the page. Okay, let me make this a bit bigger so we can have what to jump to. If I click top, it will jump to this section just between the paragraph. Boom. So it's, at this point here is where we have the div. So basically that's what we can do with our position fixed. Eventually when we get to the JavaScript section, we're going to learn how to use JavaScript to create a back to top button. Okay, but I just wanted to show you this section in CSS. Okay, so now let's move on. I'll make this a little smaller and I'll expand our browser. Okay, 75. Okay, all right. So basically, let me clear our page. There's too much stuff on the page right now. I'm just going to clear some of it out. Boom. I'll save, refresh. Okay, so we have a smaller page. Now, the next kind of positioning we'll look at. So essentially, we've looked at static position, relative position, and we've looked at fixed position. Okay. Now, the next kind of positioning we'll look at is the absolute positioning. All right, so to understand the concept of absolute positioning, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to create two boxes. So I'm just going to say I'm going to remove this, and okay, I lost my closing div. Let me quickly add a closing div. So we already have it. I'll save. Let me refresh the page and see what happens. Okay, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to give the class of PPP a width of 50%. Save. Let's see. So it has a width of 50%. Now basically what I'll do now is I'm gonna be so see, I'm gonna duplicate this, but this time I'll give it a class of second section, and then I'll save. Okay, let's refresh. Okay, so we have a class of second section. Okay, and okay, so basically I'm gonna get these styles out of the way. So Control X and put them in our style.css. So but ideally this margin should be up top. Okay. And save. If I refresh the page, nothing changes because we still have our styles in place. Okay, so yeah, so we have some space here. Now what I'll do is I would the class of second section, second hyphen section, I'll say I want it to have a border also of 2px, 2px, and I want it to be solid, and I want it to be yellow. Okay, and then I'll save and refresh the page. But then I also want it to have a width of 50%. Then I'll save. I'll refresh the page. Okay, so we have a width of 50% on both. All right, so what I'll do next is I'm going to get rid of this header and the links within it. So basically I'm just gonna look for okay, so this is it, nav as well as the back to top. So I'm just gonna delete it and save. Let me refresh the page, and then I'll get rid of the padding also. That's the padding on the first section. I'll save and refresh. All right, so this is where I want us to be. Now basically we have a first section and a second section. Now what I'll do now is to show you the absolute positioning. I'm just going to add position to the first section class, and I'll say absolute. Okay, and then I'm going to save. Now when I refresh the page, bam. Now what happens is that this first section is taken out of the flow of the page, and then it seems like the second section has disappeared, but it hasn't. Actually, the first section is just on top the second section. So what I'll do is I'll make this second section 70%, and then I'll save and I'll refresh the page, and as you can see, the second section pops out. So essentially it's as if the first section is taken out of the flow of the page, and then the second section assumes the position of the first. Okay, all right, so basically we can then add more information to our absolute position. We can say we want it the top, and we can say we want it to be 50% away from the top, 50 pixels. And then if I save and refresh the page, and as you can see, it's it comes down. Or we can also specify and say we want it from the left, and we want another 30 pixels from the left, and then we save and refresh, and then boom, it's 30 pixels away from the left. So essentially we can with the absolute positioning, we can have a section over another section. All right, and from there we can style our page however we want it. Okay, so that's for absolute positioning. All right, so the last kind of positioning we want to look at is the sticky positioning. Okay, so for that I'm going to let's see, I'm going to just remove all of this. Okay, so our body is clear, and then I'm also going to remove all of the styles. All right, now first off I'm going to add let's see, I'll start by adding a h1 tag. So I'm just going to add a h1 tag and say welcome, and then I'm going to add a paragraph tag, and I'll get some lorem ipsum. So lorem ipsum, and I'm just gonna grab some dummy text and slot it in here. Okay, so next I'll create a div. Okay, and in this div I'm going to create another paragraph and say this is some sticky text. So this is some sticky text, and then I'm going to give this a class of sticky, and then I'm going to save. All right, so next I'm going to add some more. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is I'm going to write some CSS styles for the sticky. Okay, so I'll come here and then I'll say dot sticky. Okay, so first I'm going to give it a border, and I'm going to say I want it to have 2 pixels and solid border with color of green, and then I'm going to save. So let me just quickly refresh the page, and see what we've done so far. So this is what we have. Okay, all right, let me make this a little bit smaller. So I'll make my browser just a little bit smaller, and okay. So basically what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to give the sticky a position of sticky. All right, and I'm going to say from the top, okay, let me give it some padding first. So I'll say padding. I'm just going to say 5px. All right, so having given it a position of sticky, I'm going to say from the top I want it to be 0. Okay, and then I'll save. Okay, so having saved it, I'm going to come here and refresh the page, and then watch what happens while I scroll. Okay, let me give it a background. So I'm just going to give it a background of where background color of let's see, red, and I'm going to give the text color of white. So that will be hash FFF, and save. So I'll refresh the page. All right, so we have this sticky text here. So now I'll go ahead and scroll. Now do you notice that while I'm scrolling, when the page gets to this point, this div becomes sticky, this section becomes sticky. So I'm sure you must have seen that in websites that you visit, and this is how you implement it. You use the position sticky. So if I keep scrolling, when it gets to that point, it sticks to the top of the page, because we said the top should be 0 pixels. Okay, so that's how you implement the sticky position at various sections for your page. Okay, all right, so basically we've looked at 5 kinds of position. The first being static, which is the default, and then we looked at relative position, and then we looked at absolute positioning, and then we looked at sticky positioning. One last positioning we looked at, that will be the fixed positioning. So we also saw the fixed positioning. So we've looked at 5 types of positioning, and we've gone through examples. So I'm going to give you an assignment. So just practice these different kinds of positioning on your own, and make sure you master them, because we're going to be using them when we build our projects. All right, thank you so much for watching this tutorial. See you in the next one.